Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Growing Through Motherhood podcast. So last week we talked about dropping the judgment. If you have not listened to that episode yet, you should totally go back and listen to it. It is an episode on the fact that you can work on changing all of your relationships just by working on this short, tiny process. It's 4 steps. It's literally so easy on dropping the judgment. This is not only going to help you in your life and dropping the judgment with yourself, but it is also going to help you to communicate clearly with your kids, your husband, friends, family, individuals. Like, it's just going to all around help your relationship. And I am so excited to have learned this and be able to bring it to you. But this week we are going to add on to it a little bit, because as I am learning this and walking through it and all of the things, I have recognized a couple of different things that I just want to quickly add on for you guys. So, dropping the judgment. Sometimes you have to have a conversation about the fact that you're not judging them. So after you've done your 4-step process, go back, like I said, go back and listen to last week, because I know it's a little bit longer of an episode. I think it's like 25 minutes, but it's worth it. Oftentimes we live in this world where everybody feels judged on a regular basis. Like, we live in this world of fight or flight. And the fighting means we're ready to throw down, we're ready to argue, and then the flight means that we're avoidant. We are not having an actual conversation. Sorry, cat just went into the cat door. With that being said, sometimes you got to let them know that you have dropped the judgment, because we live in a world that judges all of the time. We think people are talking about us whenever they're not actually talking about us, or we think that people are thinking about us in some type of way that they actually aren't. We're not even on their radar, kind of thing. But so often we think that that is the case. So we have got to learn to drop the judgment in the conversation, and you actually have to truly drop it, because if you don't drop it, then your face, your body, your tone, your energy, all of those things are going to tell on you. So you are going to be found out one way or the other if you have not actually got to this calm, centered place. Your partner, your kids, I honestly find it more with my husband than anything. They don't know that I have dropped the judgment. They don't understand the concept. Just because we know the concept doesn't mean they know the concept. And so it's really helpful to just add in, I'm not judging you. This is just a conversation. Because you can totally drop the judgment and they're still triggered. They're still on the defense. But if you're not judging, it allows your brain like a safe space to be able to get calm enough to think through what should actually come out of your mouth, one. And rather than fighting for your own defense, you are not just thinking about you and your feelings and what you're thinking about a solution and what you really need from them in that moment, which is going to bring me to the second part of this episode. What do you really need? How often do you think that you know what you want, but you actually have no clue what you need? I think that we are living in a world where we have these desires and these wants, but we don't actually know what we need. Our need is our action step. Our need is the thing that we need to do in order to be able to get the outcome that we are wanting. The Bible says you have not because you ask not. I think it's James 4:2. We're asking for patience, but what we actually need is wisdom to be able to handle the situation. So if you're sitting there and you're asking for patience, your patience is going to be tested. If you're sitting there and you're asking for wisdom on how to be able to handle the situation, that's your need. You need the wisdom to be able to get yourself out of the situation that is happening in front of you. Okay, the next thing. You are sitting there and the house is a wreck and the kids are yelling and things are happening and you want the noise to stop, but in all reality, you need a reset. In episode 9, I did a 20-minute family reset for you called the Tidy Cue. It's something that we use in our family. It has been super helpful, game changer. It's literally 20 minutes to reset the entire household. The places that matter. If you want to go back and listen to that, if this is a space that you get into often with overwhelm and all of the things, it's a great episode to go back and check out. So if you're feeling like you want a break from the kids, but what you actually need is to go do something for yourself, maybe take a moment and go take a shower, maybe go take a walk, maybe go get outside, whatever that is for you. How often do we actually allow our feelings to take over and cloud our understanding of what we need in that moment? So often we're in judgment or frustration and we're in these negative feelings, but whenever we can drop the judgment, calm our minds down, calm our bodies down, then we can start thinking clearly about what it is that we actually need. And when we get into what we need instead of what we want, that is your quote unquote control area, which I say control loosely because I think control is a delusion. But this is your place that you can actually control your boundaries, your thoughts, and your asks. So you can't control the way that someone else acts, but you can search for what you actually need from them and make your ask very clear. For example, my friend had a rough day with her daughter and she wanted her husband to come home and have her back. Now that's her want. She wanted that. But what if you don't ask for what you need? Then you stand the chance that he is going to come home and let you down in a space that if you would just be clear and ask for what you need in that moment, then there's no guessing work. Just be clear. Hey, babe, I really need you to come home, have my back on this one, and give them info about what it is that you desire in that case. So in this particular case, it was, I would like you to have a conversation with our daughter and let her know that her behavior today was unacceptable and that her Barbie dream house is gone for a week. That's such a simple ask. And when you're doing it in a non-judgmental way, and you're doing it strictly as a, hey, this is how we can be a team, then all of a sudden you become just that. You can become a team on that. What could have happened is she could have not asked for anything and he could have thought, oh, she came home and she took care of the problem. Well, no, I need you to know that I need you to have my back, kind of thing. And sometimes, as a mom, sometimes there's places you want them to step in and sometimes there's places that you do not want them to step in. And sometimes you're just venting to them without any need from them to actually take an action. So which one is it? Let's be more clear about what our needs and our desires are for life. It's easy enough. There was no miscommunication on her desires. And so often the people in our lives actually want to have our back. They actually want to help us out. When we can give the information to them without judgment, and I say without judgment capitalized in my notes, because who wants to help you out when you're barking orders at them or you're coming home from a long day at work and you're sitting there just like, I need da 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 da. So there is grace that comes with what it is that you need. This does not mean you just get to sit around and go, oh, I need. This is what I want and all of the things. That's not what this is. This is a coherent way to be able to shape and mold your family and even teach your children how to stand up for their needs and address the situation of when I feel this way, if I stop, drop the judgment, clear my mind, get back to a calm space, then I can figure out what it is that I actually need in that moment to change the game and make this a conversation and move ahead sufficiently. It doesn't mean everything is going to be perfect. It doesn't even mean that they are going to do what it is that you asked for them to do. But if they do not do what you asked them to do and you feel triggered by it, then maybe go and look at where that trigger was. I'm going to give you a quick example of that and then we are done for the day. So like this weekend, I asked my husband, he was coming home. I asked him on Thursday, I was like, I need you to do the dishes this weekend. I am so sick of doing the dishes. I could hardly stand it. Like, I just need you to do the dishes. Let me tell you, I did the dishes all weekend long. My need was said. It was not met. But I didn't sit there in judgment the entire weekend. He worked his butt off, and he worked his butt off in all of the different areas of this household. Like everything that he touched and everything that he did, I did need him to do at some point, but my expectations for this weekend were not met. And so instead of me getting mad at him for going and not doing the thing that I needed him to do, I had to go back and reflect, where was it that I felt like my needs were not met? And you could go to that and you could be like, oh, well, clearly it's the dishes. Duh, that's like easy, simple, case closed. But honestly, what it was the fact that I did not feel heard. And that was an old childhood wound that I had to work through. That was my stuff. I was frustrated because of my own stuff. So whenever you get into that last part of it and you have your need and you throw out what it is that you're needing from the world, that doesn't mean that they automatically have to do what it is that you're wanting them to do. Sometimes there is a further lesson. Even I knew that God was in that moment this weekend. It was a frustrating weekend for me. And I mean, he worked his butt off. He did things that I did need him to do. It was just not, we had different expectations of how the timing was going to be used. And so I was appreciative of everything that he did. I just wanted the time to be used differently. And just because that's the case doesn't mean that he's wrong or that I am wrong, but it does give me an opportunity to go back to the drawing board and go, okay, where is my trigger coming from? Where is my old childhood wounds coming up? So, your takeaway this week, if you haven't listened to the last episode over dropping the judgment, go and listen to that now. And then practice finding what you actually need in the moment and communicating it. Make it a point that when you feel triggered this week, try to do this 3 different times and observe what the outcome was compared to what the outcome would normally have been. So make sure you're feeling your triggers, dropping the judgment, ask and assess what it is that you need and communicate it calmly and clearly without judgment. I hope you guys have the very best day. I'll talk to you later.